Good.
Yep.
All right, hey everyone. This is an episode 2 of Anything Goes podcast. Today I have a producer slash artist that has a big resume with MCs and producing. Bronx bass. I got my man, the Audible Doctor.
What's up, man?
Cool, man. First, I want to say thank you. It's a blessing, as I told you, to have you on a podcast that I'm starting, and I want to go further with it. I appreciate it. Much love.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I said, you have a big resume. I mean, you worked with a lot of artists from legends in the 80s, from Master Ace to Edo to Guilty Simpson, Hazmacking, a lot of mellow music group. I mean, how is that? I mean, from different points from the 80s to like artists that are big now, how is it?
It's it's dope. It's a lot of I always tell people if I could tell my high school self who I'd be working with today, he would shit his pants. It's just dope to be able to grow and build relationships and discography and a body of work with people that I've grew up listening to, so it's just I tend to work with whoever I like that is interested and likes what I do. Basically, it's just kind of like a mutual respect kind of thing, and that's how that all happens usually.
Right. So, first and foremost, I'll start with you. What got you into producing? Who'd you hear that got you into just to be a producer alone?
I actually started, so like my older brother got me into hip hop.
Okay.
And I started DJing first. That was the first thing I was doing because
Okay.
he was DJing, so I used to sneak in his room and use his turntables, and then I got my own setup. And the DJing evolved into me and my friends just like taking turns DJing while we would have like a horrible like freestyle cipher in my bedroom, basically. So like one of us would be DJing instrumentals and then the rest of us would be trying to rhyme.
That's how it starts, right?
And then that evolved into that's how it goes usually. And that evolved into trying to record ourselves rapping, obviously, and then that evolved into me being like, why don't I start making the beats first to record to, and then, so I really had done all aspects of it, but production just kind of came the most easily to me. So that's kind of what I stuck with. That's what I excelled with. That's what most people know me as.
Right, as a producer, right?
But it was just the evolution. I think most producers will tell you that they started, at least, historically. Nowadays it's a little bit different, but I think historically most producers will tell you they started as a DJ. Honestly, that's usually the first step into producing.
Right, because DJ was pretty much the startup of how producing is now, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's the same. It's a similar ear. It's a similar part of the brain you're using. It's between beat matching and tempo matching and you got a spy.
I know, I see that.
Yeah, between like beat matching and tempo matching and having an ear for records and arrangement and what parts of the song fit with other parts of the song, and that whole that ear that comes with DJing is a big part of what production is.
Right.
Finding those things that fit together. That it's a very similar part of the brain, so it makes sense.
All right. So, you said you started in high school, right? So what was that, like 18, 17? Then technically you got into the music game?
Probably.
Or earlier?
I don't know. I have a horrible memory, so that's part of the issue. But I want to say probably like 16 or 17. I probably started messing around, and then I did it through the end of high school. Me and my friend DJ'd a couple of our like high school dances and stuff. And we had been like recording our little songs, and I was doing mixtapes and stuff. Right. And then after high school, I went to college for 1 year in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Which was just a waste of time and money because I didn't want to be there. There's no reason for me to be there. I wasn't learning anything. I was just wasting money. And then after that year, so when I was 19, I moved to New York to go to like a technical audio school.
Okay.
And that's really when I kind of came out here and became more serious about making music and got more in the scene. So probably about 19 was when I started taking it really seriously.
All right. So was New York like a big landmark, I guess you can say, for hip hop? So was that more of an influence, knowing the background of New York from Master Ace, to everyone that came up, like Cool G Rap, Mobb Deep, all them in New York, since you're New York based? Was that like why you went to New York, or was just because?
100%. That was it. It was just like, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just like, this is the birthplace of hip hop. This is where hip hop lives and where it started. I just want to be there, and I didn't know anything about New York. I'd visited previously, but not really like explored the city. I kind of just came out here blindly. I had a friend that lived out here, so I was able to like move into his apartment when one of his roommates left.
Right.
So I kind of just came out here blindly, and I got super lucky because I ended up, after this program, I graduated the program. I ended up interning at Fat Beats,
Okay.
which was like the
Biggest
perfect fit. Yeah, it like just fit perfectly, and that's honestly where I learned more about hip hop than any other. I always say that's like the college course
of hip hop.
for hip hop in my career. That was it. That's where I learned everything.
That's cool, man. I mean, Fat Beats is a big name. You know how it carries a lot of underground stuff, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So with your two singles that you dropped last year, Somebody and Runaway, I mean, how did that come to you? With Beatwise, I know somebody was talking about how people introduced your music to different people, right?
Yeah, somebody was that's a true story if you listen to that. So I've been sitting on that actual song for like 4 or 5 years. Marink, well, he goes by Melton now. Melton, who produced that record,
Right.
is a homie. He's produced a lot of stuff from my group, Brown Bag All Stars. I've done records with him in the past. But he sent me that beat like, I want to say at least 4 years ago for a project he was working on. And then I did basically just the verse and a hook for the most part, and that's it. And I did that like the night he sent it to me, and I sent it back to him, and I was like, because my turnaround time with records and getting people verses and stuff is horrible. Like everybody knows, like I'm not good at meeting deadlines. I'm not good at getting things done when it's for other people. So I got it done that night, and I sent it back to him, and I was like, yo, this is what I did. If you need something less depressing, or if you need something that makes more sense, or if you want like a full song, I could probably do it, but it's probably going to be a year or two. Like a flat out, like I'm not going to finish this. So then 4 years later, I went back to it, and it really kind of, I just always loved it. Like it was just a record that kind of, it's based on a true story. So it was me. The opening of it is somebody hit me at my lowest point. And it was me at a place in my life where I was not doing well. I had, I don't know if I had just broken up with my ex, or if the relationship was failing, or like what, it was me hitting like a very low point.
Right, like a rock bottom in your life, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then this random person reached out on Facebook, and he sent me a message, and he was like, yo, this song that you did like 6 years ago, one of the oldest songs first songs I ever recorded professionally. He's like, yo, this is like a huge song for me. I had been going through things with my baby mother, and this completely changed my perspective, and like this really means a lot to me, and my friend put me on to you, and I just want to let you know that like this song helped me through a bad part of my life. And it flipped my entire perspective of where I was. I was like, yeah, I'm in this low place right now, but like I forget that there's things that I can do that to me give me value. Like the fact that I can help through just something that I just did. I made a song, I put it out, I forgot about it, and it helped this person through something. And like that, so that whole song was based on that kind of like perspective of just perspective in general. Just like when you're low, you forget about the things that give you value, that you can provide to help other people, and help yourself through that, basically.
So if it
so
was
I just was.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, since you said that guy, reached out to you about your music, is that gave you that push to where you're at right now as an MC and a producer?
100%. I get, so I think most producers will tell you this. I don't know if MCs go through the same thing as much, but at least I do. Where you go through these phases of thinking that you're invincible and you're the best to do it, and nobody could see you. and then you hit a low where you're like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I even doing this? Nobody cares. Like, this is pointless. I've been wasting my time. And it fluctuates. And everybody that I know that's a producer or an artist goes through those highs and lows. And it literally is, for me personally, my experience, it is people that reach out to me, fans that reach out and say, this is my favorite song. This helped me through this time. Means a lot to me. This, like those things that allow me to get through those low parts and continue on. And like, if it wasn't for messages like that dude, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I really don't know what I'd be. I don't know if I'd still be making music, But yeah, that's a big part of continuing on and getting to where I've gotten so far.
Well, God bless that guy, because man,
Yeah.
you killed the game, bro. I mean, I discovered you. It was something wild that I never heard. That's what it is.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
And then your tracks actually came out first was the Runaway track. That beat, I mean, it's mellow. The hook is just beautiful, man. I mean, how did you go upon with that one?
A lot of my records like that, I don't spend a lot of time on records. I feel like and that's not to say that I don't put effort into them, but I feel like when I overthink things, I tend to mess them up, or I tend to just keep procrastinating because it's not good enough or whatever. I fall into that perfectionist loop. So Runaway was simple. It was something that I made the beat randomly, and then I just heard the hook. I got it down, and then the verse I just started recording. When I record now, verse-wise, I stopped writing my verses down, and this is not the most effective way to do it, but I stopped writing verses down. I just record them piece by piece. So everything is kind of fresh. Everything is kind of off the top of the head. I think it's hurt me and it's benefited me in different ways, but like Runaway was just, I made the beat, got the hook down, and then I just started recording, and that's what came out. And it was made within the course of a day, and it just happened, and I liked it, and I put it out. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. It was just like, I try to just, with whatever song I'm working on, I just try to give a reflection of where I am at the moment, regardless of what's going on. That's just how I feel in the moment, and that was where I was when I recorded that joint.
Yeah, because I mean, you haven't put anything out since, what was the last one? The Winter Tape, all those, right?
Yeah. So I stopped doing full projects just because I found it's hard for me to sit down and make a full vocal project, and the effort that goes into doing that for me to put it out and then see how the work that I put into that is consumed in like a day and then forgotten about.
Right.
It was one of those things that was kind of discouraging me as an artist, and I was like, why am I putting all this effort into doing this complex project when people just eat it in a day and then that's it? So I kind of had changed, and yeah, exactly. And I knew that this is, with streaming, this is the new world where it's a single based world. It's not based on projects anymore. So I kind of made a decision to go to singles vocal wise. I still do instrumental projects, but like as far as vocal stuff, I've kind of converted into doing singles. And I do have some full vocal projects coming later this year, but for the most part, vocally, I'm just trying to do singles because for where we are societally, it kind of makes sense to just do one-offs. So yeah, so as far as like official releases with me rhyming on it, for the most part, I'm just going to be doing singles for a while now. And I do have other, like this year, I'm doing the RX series, which is I release on Bandcamp exclusively, and then I usually put the instrumental version of whatever the project is on all the streaming platforms. But that's like a weird mix. Right? So it's, say that again.
That would be this year you'd be releasing it, or are we looking at 2-3 years?
So I've already started it. So the RX series is I'm doing one a month.
Okay.
The first one was like a remix project, basically, where I took a bunch of different songs and remixed it with my own production. The second one, I think, was a similar. I have a horrible memory, so I don't even know what I did. Second one was similarly remixed, but I think it was like what month or fifth? Yeah. So the second one was like a similar remix project. The third one was like a remix project, but I made songs into like film trailer sounding remixes, like really epic, weird. I did like a Mobb Deep film trailer remix, which was crazy. And then the third one was like an instrumental beat tape that I made using Billie Eilish vocals that I chopped up. Like it's always just weird. The whole idea of the series is to like just do something consistently every month, have no rules for what it is. So it's gonna be remixes, it's gonna be random vocal. Like the one that I did for May, I pushed back, but it's essentially my it's a little convoluted, but it's my it's called the Murder Hornet tape. And it's me remaking Wu-Tang beats.
Oh shit!
Not out of the original samples, but out of cover versions of the original samples that they sampled to make the Wu-Tang beats. It's like it's me just exploring random shit, basically. I pushed that one back due to everything that's going on in society, so that's probably going to drop this month in June with June's project as well. But yeah, I've been consistently releasing stuff. It's just that those are exclusively on Bandcamp, so a lot of people don't, unless you have bought something from a Bandcamp or you're paying attention. Right. A lot of people don't see those. But yeah, I mean, I'm just staying active.
I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, you say that you stay off on. You told me when I asked you for an interview that you've been offline for a lot. So shocking to hear that you're still up on your music game, and I mean, you have a lot of shit lined up. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's I think part of the problem too is that I always have stuff coming out. I just hate the internet, so I never promote it. So it's like you have to really be paying attention to know that I'm dropping things. I'm pretty much consistently dropping stuff, but like you have to really be paying attention, and that obviously hurts me in the end. But like I just can't do the internet. I can't do social media. I can't do that shit.
I know you barely post shit. I'm like, oh fuck, this is sick, and then I'm just like, oh, he just went MIA for another couple months, and then I'm just like,
exactly.
All right, thanks. So, with record companies, are you signed with Mellow Music Group, or are you kind of just on your own independently?
No, I have been avoiding signing with any label for years. I haven't gotten a deal that makes sense to me. That my whole thing is that if you can provide a service or something that I can't get done myself, then we can work out something. But if you're just offering what I can do on my own and taking a cut of the money, I'm not really down for that. Mellow Music Group was the closest I ever came to signing. We were in talks for a while that dissolved for whatever reason.
That's your shit.
There's a story behind that.
That's your shit.
Yeah, there's a story behind that one, but I'm whatever. But yeah, no, as of now, I've always been independent, just released my own stuff. I own everything 100%. I don't have to deal with anybody,
right?
As far as licensing or dealing with my records, so it's just easier that way.
I mean, congrats, man. That takes a lot, especially in the independent world. Like you said, the streaming world's difficult now. It's like a bigger competition.
For sure, yeah.
So, back to Mellow Music. I mean, you worked with a lot of artists from them. From one of my favorite MCs and producers as yourself is Odyssey. I mean, your song that you did on the summer tape, if no one knows, the vibe. I mean, how was that? I mean, were you guys debating on who makes the beat? Because Odyssey said he ain't gonna handle it when he does that intro, So I was like, oh shit, like, were you guys going back and forth, like, nah, this beat's good, or like, how did that go upon?
Yeah, that was that record. I did years ago. I was still at Fat Beats at the time, and I just reached out. I had a beat that I thought he would sound dope on. I had an idea, and I just reached out to him, and he was responsive. He liked the joint, and we just put the record together. When I might have reached out to Hassan Maki before Odyssey had even turned in the beat, because Hassan's another one that like. That dude is so underrated. Like that dude is
hell yeah.
Like Black Thought is my favorite rapper, #1 all time, and I feel like Hassan is the next generation Black Thought. Like that dude is so talented. I met him in Rochester.
Cool album shows up. Apollo Brown was crazy too.
Yeah, was nuts. Yeah, everything that he does is nuts. And I met him like years ago. We used to do shows up in Rochester, and we ran into him up there, and he's just so talented. And I think I reached out to him. you know, just be like, yo, it's gonna be me Odyssey on the joint. You want to get on? And he was like, I'm down. And I think Hassan did his verse in like a day and turned that, you know, gave it back to me and was like, here you go, this is it. And he murdered that song. But yeah, with Odyssey, I just reached out and was like, this is the joint, you know, let me know. And it was a little back and forth of trying to get it done because I think he was moving at the time, or something. There was something going on. This was years ago. There was something going on where I think he might have been moving to Brooklyn or something. I don't know, something like that. And but we got it done and put it out, and that's, to this day, I think my most popular song is that track.
It is. I mean, I had to get to. I heard it the first time and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I would never think, you know, because you and Odyssey are totally different, and has Macking too. You know, it's just you had 3 different styles, not all the same style, from your production to Odyssey's verses, and it has Macking verses. Everything was just from you going in hard, Odyssey going into his mellow, and then has Macking going just fucking preaching. You know, so it's just like it was a different shit. I was like, this is fucking dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that record. Yeah.
And then you also worked with Edo. I mean, he's a legend himself, man. I mean, how'd you get him on a record?
I don't remember how. Again, I have a horrible memory. I don't remember how we linked up. I feel like he might have become aware. He definitely reached out, but I feel like I know what it was. Tren, my homie Tren, who had been working with Edo, reached out and was like, yo, Edo has heard some of your stuff, he wants some beats, and he gave me his info, and I started sending him joints, and that was how that whole thing started. At one point, Edo and I were going to be working on a full album together. And I think it dissolved because I have a history of just dropping the ball on good opportunities.
Yeah,
so I'm pretty sure I just dropped the ball on that and it kind of dissolved. But like we ended up getting a couple of joints done. The one that he ended up taking a couple of beats, that's what it was. And then I was working on the summer tape, and I said, you want to get on this joint? He's like, for sure. So he recorded for that project. Recently he reached out, and I've been sending him beats, and he's working on something right now that I maybe have a joint on. So we'll see. But yeah, that was just another random, you know, like I'm not good at the networking game, and that's also another issue of mine. But everybody that I work with is usually just based on their appreciation of my work, in the same way that when I work with people, I just work with people that I like their work.
Right.
So yeah, that was just the same thing. It was just like he reached out. He's a legend, and it just kind of organically happened that way.
I mean, that's crazy. And then I'll do one more. I mean, it's a lot of album questions. My bad. But I mean, you work with Guilty Simpson. He's been on a couple of your projects too, and he's a big Detroit himself. He worked with Apollo Brown with his Dice album, and then I seen him on your album. So I mean, his lyricists are crazy as himself.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I just reached out to him. I don't remember. It was I was at Fat Beats at the time. I know that we had signed Black Milk to Fat Beats. I don't remember the connection. I was working with Majestic Legend out of Detroit too. I don't remember the full-on connection of how I got connected with Guilty. I don't know if we were doing something with him with Fat Beats, or if it was through one of the artists I was working with. But I just basically just reached out to him, same thing. And I was working on joints, and he liked what I was doing, so I sent him some joints, and he put down some verses, and we built some tracks together. Really, it was just reaching out. At that time, I was at Fat Beats. I was just in the scene a lot. I was dealing with a lot of artists. I was making a lot of music, so I just happened to reach out to people, and they were responsive. And that's a lot of those records just came out of me just reaching out and saying, "You're dope. I like your shit. Would you want to work?" You know?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's just how it happened.
I mean, that's crazy, bro. And then Master Ace and Wordsworth, 2/3 of the EMC group. I mean, Master Ace is a legend himself, straight out of '88. I mean, as he says it, Crooklyn, aka Brooklyn. So, I mean, working with him, same thing. Mutual friends just came up and just said, "Work with me," type of shit.
That one,
or is that more of a
we met. I had met all of them obviously through Fat Beats. The EMC, especially through the EMC project they were doing. They did an in-store, and I'd met them obviously, and was aware of them. We run in similar circles. That one they were working on. Wordsworth was the one that put it together. They were working on an EMC project, and Wordsworth reached out because they were looking for beats, and I sent them some joints, and they selected a beat for the project that ended up never making it on the project. And in response, I was like, "Yo, I'm down. Let's just do like a trade if you guys want to get on a record for me, whatever." And Wordsworth put the whole thing together. It ended up just being Master Ace and Words because Strick was doing something at the moment, and I think that was around the time that they were having the falling out with Punch.
Right.
But yeah, that's how that record came. I was just working with Words, and he put the whole thing together for me. It was dope.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to talk about this album I have. It's an LP. I have the LP version right here.
Yeah, that's dope.
I got it off your store, man. I mean, this is how I discovered you, was this album. Your No Future featuring Consequence was the song that got me into you to get my knowledge of you. And then, so this album was one of my favorites, I would have to say.
That's one of my favorite albums that I've ever done, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. That's probably, I don't take it's not that I take shortcuts, but I try to get things done in the most economical way possible. I don't like to sit and put a lot of effort into things like little minute things.
Yeah.
So some of the quality of I'll admit some of the quality of my releases can suffer because I just don't put the time into them. I want to get them out. When I'm making something, I want to create it in the moment. I want to put it together, and I want to get it out. That project specifically was something that I spent a lot of time doing. It took me, I don't know how long, but I want to say at least the course of a year to put that together. And I think quality-wise, it just shows. I feel like quality-wise, that's one of the most well put together, solid sounding. It's basically between that and the Summer Tape, and the Summer Tape just quality-wise is a little bit below what that Can't Keep People Waiting came out.
I mean, the Summer Tape,
those are like my two favorite.
That's, I mean, both of those albums actually just have good transitions to each track. I mean, that's what I just noted, like your transition between each of them.
And that's what I'm saying. Those are like the little details that I was spending time on. I was making sure that everything flowed, the sequencing made sense, and then I went back and actually made transitions between each sequence. And those are the little things that, unfortunately, today's climate are not as appreciated and just consumed within a day. And it just feels like all that effort that I used to put into those projects is not noticed or cared for. So I just kind of stopped putting that effort into those little aspects. And that's why those projects sound differently than what I'm doing a lot of what I'm doing nowadays, Damn,
that's crazy, man. And then I also have this little Volume 1 Mellow Music Group.
Yeah.
You have I would say a lot, maybe three of them on here, right? 3 tracks you did?
Yeah. There's 3 joints on that one, yeah.
I mean, you worked with the follow. I mean,
Fredro one.
Do you guys like send your beats MP3, or I mean, that's all we want to know. Like, do you guys meet up, or is it kind of just I'll shoot you this, I'll shoot you that type of shit?
For all of those records, it was sending stuff back and forth. A lot of the stuff, it's sending stuff back and forth. It's easier to get stuff done that way. If you can get in the studio with somebody, it's nice too, because you can get things done creatively that you can't do back and forth over email. And you can just bounce ideas off each other, and you can change things. And it's easier if we're in a room together for the artist to be like, I kind of like this part. Can you change that drum or this or that? And you're like, you can vibe off each other. But most of what I do is sending back and forth. It's just scheduling wise, time wise, it's just easier to get things done and just sending stuff back and forth. So all of that most of that stuff is just back and forth sending stuff.
That's crazy, man. So I want to talk about 2 songs I heard on, I forgot the fucking album. I feel like an idiot now. It's called it was Fubu and Staying Busy remix. So it's Fubu Corresponds
Uh,
Bias.
that's off of the I Think That. Wait, was that on I Think That project? Fubu was definitely on it. Yeah, so the project was called I Think That.
Okay, I'll look that up, but I feel like an idiot right now.
It was like the red and black cover, right?
No, it was the city
Oh,
one with the dark, like a dark city, and then like
yeah,
lights.
yeah. That's I Think That. Um, yeah, it had like the DJ Brace intro on it, and it had
Yeah, like the Andy Kaufman track.
yeah, Andy Kaufman Theory. Yeah. So that joint was
What was that
that's
about?
funny.
I don't know who Andy Kaufman is. Like, what was that about?
Yo, just look up Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was a I don't know what you call him. I guess I entertainer, but I mean kind of comedian, social commentator, like prank player. He basically just did these ridiculous bits where they were essentially just like wild jokes that he was on the inside of, and the rest of the world was like, what the fuck is going on? It was just like the most elaborate, crazy pranks. If you watch Man on the Moon, it's about Andy Kaufman. It's Jim Carrey. Yeah. Jim Carrey's playing Andy Kaufman in that film. He was just like this just ridiculous, almost mythological figure, to the point that like when he died, people were like, he didn't die. This is just prank. He's coming back. Like it was that kind of like level of playing tricks on people, like playing jokes on the world, basically just extreme, insane stuff. So the whole idea behind that song was that at that time I felt that a lot of what rappers and artists were doing was so ridiculously bad that they had to be they had to be playing a joke on the world. Like that was the entire premise of that song. It's like, yo, you gotta be playing a joke because this shit can't.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that whole project, that I think that project was, I was in Brown Bag All Stars. I mean, still in Brown Bag All Stars, but like I had released stuff through my group Brown Bag All Stars. I had produced a lot of stuff for artists at the time, but I had no solo projects with me rapping on it. And people at the time, to this day still, but like at the time really had no idea that I was a rapper. They knew that Brown Bag was a thing. They knew that I was in the group, but I don't think they knew who was who at the time, or like, you know, I wasn't one of the shining members. So I don't think they realized that I was rapping. So that was me just being like, that was literally my first project ever solo wise of me rapping. And I was just like, listen guys, I rap too. And that's why I had a lot of outside production on there. I had, again, Melton had produced stuff on there. DJ Brace had produced stuff on there. I did some stuff as well, obviously, but like that was me trying to show people that like, look, I rap too, basically. And that's what that was. Yeah.
I mean, that album, you went hard, man. Everything from the intro to the ending. I mean, the Fubu track, I mean, is that a message to the artist saying, you know, why can't you buy my shit? Because a lot of them you're saying like they have your shit without it even coming out in the first place and going to your shows. I mean, to me, that's disrespectful in a way, especially in the game, because your guys' money is based off what you guys buy off the stores. I mean, streaming now, I mean, you have to have 1 billion views or streams just to even make a buck out of it. You know, back then, I bet you it was harder.
That's the wild shit too, is that I didn't even think about that song doesn't even apply because there's no CDs. There's nothing like, obviously vinyl. Sorry. Obviously vinyl still sells, but like, and I had another song of that era. I actually found the demo the other day. It was called "Buy My Shit," and it was it was very similarly themed. That beat is actually dope. I might reuse that beat. But yeah, that was what it was. I was at that place where I had been doing things. I had been gaining a little bit of fan base and some attention and doing shows and stuff. But it was a lot of people coming up to me, and I could walk around New York City and people were like, "Oh, you're the Audible Doctor, blah blah." And I know what my numbers were looking like sales wise, so I knew where every single one of my records was going. I knew where, you know, and I was like, the amount of attention I'm getting from people is odd with the numbers I'm seeing sales wise. And it was just kind of that, you know, it was peak like illegal download, ripping and putting on blog era. And it was just basically about, sorry. Yeah, it was just about that era, basically.
Yeah, because I mean, I listened to that track time and time. It's like, damn, this dude's pretty much saying to the fans, what the fuck? Like, I see it, but where's the love at in my end, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why I bought, like you said, one of your favorite albums. Again, I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it a
That's
shout out.
dope.
This is a beauty right here.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you.
And then I always want to know this, your Staying Busy remix, your intro, was that
Mm.
kind of, did you get the influence off of the Scenario remix from Tribe Called Quest?
1000%. Yeah.
I
That's
fucking knew.
that was exactly what that was.
I didn't want to get you offended in any way, because I mean, I hear both sides. I mean, you got Busta Rhymes introducing everyone, and then when I heard the Staying Busy remix, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I hear that, and I was like, where did I hear that from? And I was like, damn, did he do that out of like respecting the Tribe Called Quest? Like, was that the reason?
Yeah, it was such a random thing. So that record is Silent Night and I had been working for a while. Who's the original Staying Busy was done with him, and then that was a remix to his song that I ended up putting on my project as well.
Oh, okay.
But the original is dope too. But yeah, I don't know when we decided we were gonna do a remix to it because of the success of the original one that we did.
Right.
I don't know what made me think of that, and I decided we're gonna get this person. There's gonna be like 8 people on this freaking song.
For real.
So something about it just kind of clicked, and it just felt scenario-ish to me, and I just did the intro, and that was it. And I sent it to him, and I was like, how do you feel? And he's like, yo, that's dope. Yeah, like so. Yeah, we ran with it, and that's how it came out. Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, damn, that shit, like, it came out hard, and then fuck, I mean, everything you do is pretty much the truth, or just going in verse wise is crazy.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, you post shit on Instagram from what you do when you're online. You say, oh, this is when I rap hard, and I was like, damn, like, you just got to keep going, bro. I mean,
yeah,
your raps are crazy. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, you dissed your baby mama. I mean, I don't know if that was a true story, but
that's the thing. That was the record that I was talking about. That somebody reached out, and that was the one that I was telling you about. That somebody reached out and said, this got me through a hard time. That was the record.
Oh,
and I
really?
forgot I even made that song. And the craziest part about it is I don't have any kids. That whole song was a metaphor about hip hop. Like, it was all my relationship to hip hop in the industry. Yeah. And if you listen to it with that mindset, it makes a lot of sense. But a lot of people didn't catch that. It was just me speaking about hip hop and the industry and how things were going and my relationship with them as they're my baby mother, And a lot of people just took it literally. Like, that guy that reached out was taking it literally. He was like, I'm going through some shit with my baby mama, and that shit helped me. And I didn't want to be like, yo, that shit it was about hip hop, bro. Like, I didn't want to tell him, but just him, regardless of the intent or whatever, the fact that it helped him change my perspective when I was in a bad and it completely shifted my point of view, and it was just all positive, Yeah,
see, that's what I thought too. I thought it was some baby mama shit. I'm like, damn, this was fucking crazy. Like, he's dissing his baby mama. She got her own track. That's respect. But to hear that it was pretty much an issue with the hip hop game, that I guess I'm gonna go back and listen to it once we're done and look at it in that point of view.
Yeah, word. Yeah, and I like a lot of, to me it was obvious, but I wrote it, so I know. Like, I think a lot of people didn't catch that. One of me.
I'm one of the victims that fell to the baby mama case. I mean, I don't got kids or anything myself, but it was something fucking crazy.
Thank you.
So what do you like more in honesty? I don't know if this is a hard one for you, because you said production came easily. Do you prefer production or rhyming, or kind of just in between?
I go through stages. I think overall I probably like production more because I think I'm skilled at both, and for me, the reward system is completing something or creating something and then listening to it back, and then I get this rush of, I don't know,
that adrenaline,
positivity. Right? Yeah, like, it's adrenaline. It's like positivity. It's confidence. It's value. It's like this rush of like, all is right in the world. Everything makes sense. If I make something dope and I listen back to it, I'm like, this makes sense. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is, so I think I get that more often with production because I do that more often. It's easier to do that. I feel rewarded from production more than from rapping, just because rapping takes longer for me to do. It's a more strenuous process. It's more complex. So the rewarding when listening back to a rap is very, very rewarding, but I get that reward less than production. So it's a weird way to explain it, but I feel like probably production just more because I feel the rewards of that more often than rapping, if that makes sense.
No, I get you, man. Because I mean, like, I always wondered that, like, you know, as a, like you said, you produce your MC, like, I always wonder, like, what do they favor more? Because, like you said, you know, getting a record out from someone else, it takes you 2 to 3 years compared to yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering, you know, like, what do you enjoy more? And hearing your production side, I can hear it when you drop your albums and everything else. You know, I hear the time and love you put into this shit.
Yeah. And that's the wild shit is like production is pretty easy for me. Making a beat, bro. If I'm if I'm sticking within a certain style of production, it's pretty straightforward. I've done it so many times that it's just I can make a dope ass beat in 20 minutes, you know. But rap has always been a struggle from the first time I've ever rapped to today. It's always a struggle. It's always painful. It's always riddled with self-doubt. It's always me picking up my phone every 5 seconds and getting distracted because I just don't feel confident in what I'm doing. It's me getting halfway through a verse and then changing direction because I dislike what, like, it's so riddled with negativity every time I go through the process of trying to record rap that it's painful. And when I'm done, it's all worth it. In the process, it's such a painful process that it's easier for me to stay away from it, regardless of how much I love doing it and you know how good I do at the end of the day believe that I am at it. So it's like it's a love-hate thing. Yeah.
So I forgot to bring that up. Your track The Winner and the Winner tape. Was that like a dedication to New York, or was that mostly, what was it about? Because you talk about your city you live in, you know, you talk about death on it, you know. So, I mean, what was that kind of like what you see in New York as yourself?
No, that was written about my hometown, Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, moved to New York when I was like 19. And I've been in New York for 17 years. 17 years? 18 years? Something like that. Yeah, that song was just about my hometown, and Madison is an amazing city. If me being raised in Wisconsin, that's the only place I would want to be raised. It's a big college town. It's a very open-minded, very liberal city,
right?
For the most part, on the surface. A lot of young. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of young, educated people coming in, intelligent people. There's a huge tech industry there now. So it's a lot of bright, intelligent, open-minded, liberal people from all over the world that come there. But there's a weird underlying, like they have one of the highest incarceration rates for Black people.
Okay.
It's like a weird underlying. It's still Wisconsin. There's like a weird underlying kind of racism. I don't want to say outright racism, but like there's a weird underlying systematic oppression going on. As there is everywhere in the country.
Right. I mean, as of right now, as you
so it was just kind of. Oh yeah. And that's the thing. And that's like I that song was just kind of about that. It was like I learned a lot growing up there. I was also kept in a bit of a bubble growing up there. Coming to New York from there was a little bit of a shock. But yeah, it was just about growing up there, being raised there, things that I was taught there, things that I saw there.
So did you face any racism since, you know, we're not going to go much into that because that's a very sensitive topic as of right now. We won't go into that. But I mean, I know you're probably mixed as well, as much as me. From what I always see from Wisconsin, I feel like it's a white-based state, you know, but as you said, where you grew up at, it was still kind of up in the air. So, you know, growing up in a bubble, I mean, was that your parents protecting you from the racism, or how did that go? Like, what was your parents' ethnicity that was the
So,
controversy?
so that's the other factor. So I'm half white, half black, and I was adopted by an all-white family. So I was raised with an all-white family, but the city was very diverse. So I had grown up around a lot of different. It wasn't. I mean, it's still majority white, but there are a lot of different ethnicities. I mean, my elementary school was like we had students from all over the world. It was like an international school because a lot of students were children of professors that had come from all over the world to teach at the university, and it was just like a very diverse area in general. Um, so yeah, 100%. I dealt with racism. Uh, Not as much in Madison as when I ventured outside of town. So like in the direct city, it was a little bit less at the time when I was growing up. It's a little bit different now because there's other factors and people, more people of color have moved into certain areas and they've done a little bit of not segregation, but it's a little bit more messy now than it used to be. Um, but yeah, so the bubble that I had lived in was my amazing mother trying to shelter me, but still warning me about the realities. And it was like a lot of what I was learning from her was, listen, here in this house, you're safe, you're equal, you're loved. But when you go out into the world, there's going to be some people that dislike you just because of how you look. And like her trying to explain that to me without me having an understanding of it, and then eventually getting a little bit older and venturing out into the world and then experiencing it. It was just like that kind of weird, I didn't grow up in it from a child. I was sheltered until I started leaving the house more, basically. So it was a really weird, forgot there's a whole other aspect that like I grew up with essentially foster kids. It's such a complex story. So I basically had foster kids, like poor Nicaraguan foster kids that were my little brothers and sisters that lived with me for most of my life growing up, because they would come from Nicaragua, stay with us as a foster family, receive free medical care for different various medical issues that they had. Like a lot of them had different disabilities and various medical issues. And then once they recovered, they would be sent back home to Nicaragua. So like that was a whole nother side of my experience growing up with these poor Nicaraguan kids that really gave me kind of insight into someone who has real struggle and in their life and has to overcome real obstacles. It's the weirdest melting pot of things.
I mean, it could be like a 2-hour interview if you want to, but I think we're good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to my story about how I grew up and experienced the world early on.
I mean, I think it's good to know.
It's a little complex.
Because, hip hop was, mostly a black thing coming up, and then kind of Eminem broke that barrier, and then now you see at the underground game, a lot of diverse people are coming up and telling their stories.
Well, that's another factor too. Is part of the reason I fell in love with hip hop was that I was the only, and I used to be a lot more dark skinned when I was younger because I used to go outside. But
this is the shelter color. Like this is what happens. When you
this is like yeah. But like I was the only non-white looking kid in my household, and I didn't really. I love my family, and I know that I'm part of the family, but like there's certain things that I didn't identify. I couldn't find my identity through some of their things, like some of what that was. And hip hop was my first window into something that clicked, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. That was my first experience identifying with something wholeheartedly,
right?
And something that gave me value, made a sense of value and self-esteem was hip hop. And that was like, my window into black culture that made more sense to me. Like it just clicked with me, and that was a big part of me gaining self-esteem and seeing value in myself growing up, was finding hip hop and being like, this makes sense. This is who I am. That's why hip hop's always my first love.
Sorry for the ghetto bird. Still crazy over here.
Sorry.
So like it kind of you kind of felt like that's your place in life, right? Was hip hop because you kind of I don't know who you grew up with if you like to make that quick and who'd you hear that kind of was like I can fit into this kind of shit.
Early on, so I was in the Midwest. So a lot of, I mean, I had Nas was a big influence just because he was the first person that I heard that was so visually descriptive with his lyrics in such an accurate and shorthanded way
Right.
that I was like, I don't know how you do this. Like, I can visualize this entire scenario that you created in 2 lines, you know? So he was a huge influence on me. Outkast was a huge influence on me because their production was organized
Wow.
noise production was just like I was like, what is this? Like I know there's samples in there, but what is this sound? And then their unique voices and their styles was amazing. But a big influence for me was the whole rhyme sayers movement, like Atmosphere and Brother Ali and then Mole Man out of Chicago. Like that whole kind of Midwest movement was a big part of my upbringing. You know, that entire and that's why when I came to New York, I was recording and making music in a very like kind of Midwest sounding way, and it took me to be at Fat Beats for someone to be like, "Yo, this shit's garbage," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "No, this shit is garbage." And it like kind of opened up my mind. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I kind of see there's certain standards, and you know, like in New York was on their own shit about their sound and whatever. Like
Yeah.
anything else sounds
Hardcore
like
feedback.
garbage, and you know whatever. Yeah, this is like far from people being proud of their regional sound. It was just like, yo, if you don't sound like New York, then you suck, kind of thing. Obviously, we've changed, but that's what made me study more. I was like, I came out with this like Midwest sounding shit, and they're like, nah, this is garbage. And I was like, you know, but that was, you know, my influence was Midwest sounding shit. You know, it was that's where I grew up. That's where I learned hip hop. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but today's world with rapping, what's your thoughts on that?
Say that again. Sorry.
Like today's world of the hip hop as they call it, or the trap world. What's your thoughts on that? On being a producer itself, hearing because I hear some dope ass beats and then I hear the lyrics, almost like, well, that kind of just fucked up the whole song.
It. I don't know. I'm torn. Right. There's obviously some stuff out now that's just pure garbage. There always has been pure garbage, but there's some like real garbage out right now. Um, but at the same time, I'm also really enjoying the freedom. Like I was saying when I came to New York, and they were like, "What you're doing is trash. This is how you're supposed to do it. These are the rules for hip hop." I think that gave me a lot of structure and understanding and allowed me to build my skill because I had a set of rules to work within, right?
Right.
And that's gone now. That's just completely gone. So while I appreciate the creativity that a lot of people are coming up with, there's some amazing things that are being done because you're allowed to do that in hip hop now. You didn't used to be able to do that, but now it's acceptable to do these things, and it's allowed a lot of people to just evolve and mash things up and combine genres and influences and come up with some really creative stuff. It's also allowed some really terrible things to fly by because there's no bar set. There's no there's no rules, there's no regulations. It's just like kind of anything goes. And so we're in a weird place where I think we're in a transitional place. I think there's going to be, and there already has to some extent, but I think there's going to be more kind of defined lanes for the different sounds. But I think we're in a transitional period where there's no rules. People are trying things. Some of it's dope, some of it's garbage. Overall, I think it's positive because we can't. That's why hip hop's still going strong. That's why hip hop's the dominant force because it's allowed to evolve like that. You know, like there's no rigid rules for what's hip hop and what's not hip hop anymore. And that's why it's affecting all other genres because it can be mixed into anything. So I think it's positive and negative. It's it's good and bad.
That's crazy, man. So we've been doing this for about 55 minutes now. Shocking. It's crazy. So we're about to end this, but I want to ask you: is there anything we can expect this year or hear from you? Since you kind of go MIA, it was hard enough to get you on this interview. Is
For
there
real.
anything for the fans, or as myself as a fan, can expect?
So I'm doing like I was saying before, I'm doing the RX series. So every month, with the exception of May, because I pushed it back due to what's going on in society after. I don't feel comfortable promoting music right now. I'm gonna wait a couple of weeks and I'll drop May and June's projects together. But every month I'm dropping a project. It's as part of the RX series. It's available on my Bandcamp. It's theaudibledoctor.bandcamp.com. Um, so if you follow my Bandcamp, you'll see all those projects being released. I have other projects slated for the year. I don't know what's happening when. I have some collaborative things with a couple of different artists that I don't want to speak on yet. But again, there's no solid. I'm not tied to any label. I don't have any release dates. I can kind of do things when I want to do them. So there's going to be more stuff coming this year. Just you got to keep an eye out for it because I'm terrible at promoting it.
And if you guys want to see him actually make a beat, you can actually follow his YouTube channel, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, follow my YouTube channel. That is my production quality is about to step up on that too. I did a couple of those. It's called Making Beats. Episode 1 through 4 is out now. There's going to be a big production jump in episode 5 because I took this whole quarantine civil unrest time to invest in myself, and I have some better quality equipment that I'm going to be working with now. So you'll see them, and I have a couple of other series that I'm going to be launching on YouTube as well. Whatever the fuck it is. That I'll be launching on YouTube as well, and some other things that you'll be seeing coming out. So yeah, follow my YouTube. All my social media is just Audible Doctor, @/Audible Doctor. Bandcamp is theaudibledoctor.bandcamp.com. Well, you can find everything at audibledoctor.com. But yeah, just stay tuned because again, I'm terrible at promoting stuff.
All good. Before we end this, let me see that Mad Villain figure. I see the
it's
right there.
I haven't even unboxed this joint.
Dang.
This joint. I have 3 of these joints.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, dude. I haven't even. Yo, it's dirty. It's wild dirty right now too. But I haven't even taken this out of the box yet. I got again another luxury of working at Fat Beats was first dibs on a lot of things. So I have like 3 Mad Villain dolls. I got like a couple Quasimodo dolls. I got like a Dilla doll. I got all types of. I got Dilla box set with T-shirts because I got all types of crazy specialty stuff. But yeah.
Maybe we could do another video just you showing us what you get.
And unbox stuff.
Yeah, we could do that, bro. We can do that. We can set something up again. But I just want to say thank you for joining me on this podcast, talk about your life, hip hop, things going on in this world. Like you said, if you want to find any information about Audible Doctor, I'll put all his description on the bottom. And then if you want to know anything about my podcast, it's Anything Goes. It would be on my YouTube channel. And if you want to follow my Instagram, it's @MadScientist72. Thank you. We out.